As specialists in small craft operations and amphibious warfare, 47 Commando Raiding Group Royal Marines are getting ready to train in Holland. The Commando unit has various IRCs, inflatable raiding craft, and AUKs, offshore raiding craft, which can be troop carriers or gunboats, plus LCVPs, landing craft vehicle personnel, and LCUs, landing craft utility.
Each craft has its own specification, so as an IRC coxswain you're predominantly to do with beach recce, so tactical insertions going in to do beach reconnaissance in order to facilitate future landing so we can get bigger craft onto it. The offshore raiding craft is normally used as a very fast means of getting troops from ship to shore over the horizon because it's got a planning speed of about 25 knots, generally the most fun craft to drive. The LCVP, landing craft vehicle personnel, there's a clue in the title. It can carry one vehicle or Marines fully laden with their Bergens to go warfighting. The landing craft utility, which is the big one, it can carry up to a Challenger 2 tank, which it has done on a couple of occasions, but also you can get a company of Marines on there.
To develop experts in raiding shorelines and working with strike teams to impose a lethal force on adversaries, it starts with learning how to operate all the craft 47 Commando has. They run 3 levels of training, and it starts with the fundamentals.
In order to earn the right to touch a boat, the first thing you've got to do is do 2 weeks of classroom-based learning, which is rules of the road, essentially the highway code of the water, and learn what you should do in any situation, whether that be navigation, risk of collision, etc. Once you've got that tick in the box, then that allows you to go and then start learning how to coxswain the craft. So initially, it's what we call bumps and scrapes. There's a clue in the title because there's a lot of bumping and a lot of scraping. And then the majority of the rest of the course is spent doing that gradually, furnishing the people with what they need to coxswain all the craft or crew them respectively. Once they've learned how to proficiently coxswain each craft and crew them, that's when we start to throw the tactical element, which is involved. In that, they will be required to do long sea transits, often south of the breakwater where the conditions can be very, very cheeky in sea states, and we get to learn very, very quickly if people have got a strong constitution or not.
Another element of training is preparing the craft and getting it into position, ready to be loaded onto ship. For all the vessels to be operational at 47 Commando, there are a team of engineers making sure everything is good to go. What might an engineer on this craft be thinking about?
Well, with the LCU, the Landcraft Utility, it's almost like a mini ship in itself, whereby it's got multiple different types of systems which are all important to being able to keep the boat operational. So starting at the front there, you've got with the ramp here, operated from hydraulic systems. And if you go further on back down through the craft here, on either side of the boat, we can also supply other craft with fuel if they need it. We've got 3 large fuel tanks on board there, so we can, as well as keeping ourselves going, we can also provide fuel for other craft. We have freshwater systems, so through this connection here, we can either embark fresh water for drinking, or if in worst case scenario, we can actually then supply water to other craft, or even for firefighting purposes. Back here, we've also got as equipment there for helping in the requirement for aiding in recovering vehicles as well. So within here we have ramp wires and additional equipment, so we can also help to try and bring the ramp back up, or if we have a vehicle stuck on the beach, we can drag it back in.
Some maintenance jobs can be carried out while the craft are in the water, but for other tasks, it's a different story.
When the craft are up here on the blocks there, that's where you can get right down to sort of structural items. You can look at the main propulsion systems, the main engines can be dismantled and refurbished. So when they come up here, this is when it's liable to be more significant work that needs to be done on the craft.
The work of all the unit means 47 Commando can provide flexibility and manoeuvrability to the Commando forces.
So we're one of the few countries which have the asset to be able to mould whatever coastline we come across to fit our needs, and that's where we flourish. So in that little grey area between out to sea and the shoreline, that 30 miles, that's where we take ownership of it. And we've got the craft and the assets to be able to move a whole commando in darkness hours from ship onto shore in order to go out, gain a foothold, and then go on to future operations.
Which is why their specialist training is so important. Be it in the UK or abroad, coastlines and sea states vary. And on top of that, the commandos need to be one step ahead of the enemy at all times. Briohny Williams, Forces News, Devonport. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.